so much easier to play that with the help of this little metal contraption, a capo. So today we're going to be looking at how to play, you know what I mean? The more perceptive amongst you will notice that I've already done a tutorial on this song, but I've listened to the comments and many of you have been complaining about how difficult it is to play and that this first bar chord is just like a nightmare. Now for me, I've got these enormous NBA player hands, not quite, but they do help a lot with these bar chords, but I have listened to you and I do sympathize. So today we're going to be learning the ultra easy way with a capo. And last thing I'd like to mention before getting into the tutorial is thank you guys so much for all of the views. I checked recently, like 280k views on that original tutorial. That blows my mind. I can't even like quantify that in my brain. That's crazy. So thank you so much. And this is really just to help you guys out because you've just made such a huge impact on my channel. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so I'm going to split this tutorial into two sections. The first section is just going to have the melody, and the second section is going to have the melody as well as the accompanying chordal parts. So if you're an absolute beginner, this is actually really good place to start because you're just going to be doing one note at a time, pretty simple. First thing you're going to want to do is take your capo, put it on the 4th fret if you have a capo. If you don't have a capo, you can play it without one. It'll sound a little bit different to what I'm playing, but you'll be able to get the same harmony more or less, just in a different key. Here it sounds quite a bit deeper. So we're going to take our capo, put it on the 4th fret. If you want it to sound exactly the same as the original, you're going to have to detune your strings just a fraction from standard tuning. And you're going to lower it a little bit. So you can experiment with that if you like to. All right, so without any more waffling, I'm going to play through bars 1 to 8, and then I'm going to break down what I'm doing. So just the melody. All right, let's go through that again from bar 1. Pretty simple. You're going to play the 2nd fret, bearing in mind the capo is now the new open string. So we're going to play the 2nd fret, then open again on the 2nd string, and then you're going to hammer on with your 3rd finger. This is the one trick, if you're a beginner, that you're going to have to kind of wrap your mind around, is hammering from the open string and not playing the 3rd fret. So you're not going to go open 3rd fret with your right hand. You're going to pluck the open string and then sound the 3rd fret just with your left hand. Your right hand can literally go on vacation. Cup of tea, you can do whatever it wants. But your 3rd finger has to sound the note with your left hand. This is basically how we get this really fast sound that you might have heard from like AC/DC. That's basically what we're doing, because the right hand oftentimes can't quite keep up with the left hand. If you're like an electric shredder, then totally. But to get this kind of fast sound, a lot of the time we're going to use left hand hammer-ons and pull-offs. And that's what we're doing over here. Playing the open string and then hammering on to the 3rd fret. All right, let's continue. So the rest of bar 2. And then again, we have this hammer-on, and we're going to let that 3rd fret ring for the rest of bar 3, which is just 3 counts. 1, 2, 3. Bar 5, we're going to repeat. Essentially the same thing, except here instead of going to the open string, we're going to go from the 1st fret to the 3rd fret. So this is a little bit more challenging, getting this hammer on right. Again, you're going to play the 1st fret with your right hand, and then 3rd fret is going to sound with the 3rd finger, doing all of the heavy lifting there. Bar 6, just repeats, and then you'll go back to the beginning and repeat the whole thing again, etc. Nothing wrong with letting all of those strings ring over each other. Sounds so beautiful. So if you feel like that's not ideal, really don't stress. I think it sounds pretty cool. Okay, so once you've got that down, you can also experiment with including the bass notes at the end of each phrase, like this. And then starting from the beginning again. Yeah, so basically all I'm doing at the end of bar 4, instead of just letting this note on the 3rd fret ring, I'm going to continue with the bass line, 2nd fret, 1st fret, and then as I'm playing the open, I'm going to start on the beginning of bar 5, and then just carry on. Yeah, more or less along those lines. So you can experiment with adding bass notes here and there, but try to stick to more or less the music below. I think that'll help out. Okay, so if you've gotten that down, then you can level up to including all of the chord notes like this. So I'll play through it once and again explain what I'm doing. And then repeating from the beginning. Okay, so we're starting off here with this really pretty, it's like an E minor 9 chord. We're gonna strum with our first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Just give that a strum. And then you're gonna carry on with the melody just like we did in the first part of this tutorial. Hammering on, strum all of the strings again, bass notes. You can use your first finger twice, and then you're gonna have to jump to this chord over here, which is kind of like a A minor 7th chord with an added note here on the 2nd fret. So that's an F sharp, that's kind of like a ACE 6. So A minor 7th with an added 6th, which is kind of weird actually. But it sounds fine. So you're gonna give that a strum, and then open, first finger hammering on, and then strumming again. And then here, open, 1st fret. Now, usually this little part of the bass line would be all the way down here. Of course, these notes are no longer available. This is the one compromise with having the capo. Those bass notes have to be shifted up an octave. And then you'll start from the beginning again. Now, the one thing that I would say, at the end of bar 4, there's an option of not just using your first finger twice like this into this chord. You can actually go 2nd finger, 1st finger, and then allow your 2nd and your 3rd finger to kind of move underneath your 1st finger and have your pinky finger pick up the bottom note in this shape. Which makes it a little bit awkward, but also a good exercise for the left hand. If you want to get your pinky finger into the action, you can totally do it this way. And then repeat. So experiment with whatever finger feels comfortable with the left hand, but the main thing is just trying to let all of those notes ring over each other because they're such pretty chords. Alright, I really think that this makes a big difference having this capo, and the only compromise is that instead of hearing this, we're hearing that bass notes, that bass line over here, just an octave higher, which I think is a pretty fair trade-off. So good luck with the practicing. If you have any other problems that you're struggling with, leave a comment below. I'll do my best to answer and get back to you to help you out. But again, guys, thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you haven't already, considered subscribing. It makes a big difference, and I'll see you guys all in the next tutorial.